Hey, hey, hey. Good
I
morning, health and wellness folks. Here we are again. Today's
Whether
topic,
you want it or not.
right?
Yes.
Our theme for
Hurrah!
today is managing stress. What are some things we could do about it? Everybody responds differently. And but the one thing is that being intentional is really important if we're going to sustain those stressful situations. Everybody is stressed from time to time, and I think now more than ever, people are stressed because so much uncertainty. And so we're just all doing the best we can. So we thought we'd come on today and have some tips to share, some things that work for us, and we thought we'd start with what can we do based on like our diets, our foods. So what are some of the things that you like, Vic, in terms of helping the stress response?
Well, since I'm like the average person, what I might come out of my mouth might not be what we want to talk about today. um, but really, what we want to do is try to take those habits. And when we're under stress, we really want to make sure that we're not doing comfort food that's bad for us, as
Mm-hmm.
far as not, when I say bad, just not healthy. And remember, where it's not helping our gut
So no
microbiome.
sugar.
Yeah. And we find that, and I find as a school nurse, as I am doing my assessments, I do in-person assessments in our clinics and our assessment clinics, and so many of our kiddos are gaining weight. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's the inconsistency of our world, and it's the challenges of what Terry had said. It's the uncertainty, it's the negativity that's coming out us from the media. And so people are turning to comfort foods, and because we lost our routine. That routine hasn't been back established. I can't wait till we get our kids back in, and not have them be able to exercise again, and be able to be in PE, and be able to be
Yeah.
in classes with the right way. So uh, I have some foods, because I did some research. Terry and I both did some research so we can help you out. And let me just go through it as I read some of the notes. I'm going to do it very briefly because I know your time is important. So
Mm-hmm.
first of all, the foods that have been suggested research wise is warm, soothing foods. So just
Mm-hmm.
I have a nurse friend last week when I was doing vaccinations that she does intermittent fasting, but she loves just plain warm water, not even anything. So, but it can be just sipping on a warm drink, no matter what the flavor is, just hot cocoa, anything, coffee. That seems to be warm, soothing foods. Also, dark chocolate, hooray! And that just seems to be um, consistent everywhere. It helps the
Mm-hmm.
endocannabinoid system. That's something, the nervous system, something for another day, but it is something that is healthy in moderation. Um, then we have,
Remember, there's some non-sugar ones or natural sugar chocolate chips and things that I like to keep in the refrigerator and just pop them in my mouth when I need that something.
yeah, because really, if you're eating processed food, or the boxed things, or the boxed sugar type things, um, it does sabotage your body. And so those things aren't the best things for you. You want to stick with, as we're taking those supplements and using those
Mm-hmm.
supplements as a tool, we want to take that tool, because that's the whole purpose of us getting our body back in balance, as we're on a health and wellness group, and actually trying to go for foods that are going to help our body. So the other thing is whole grain carbohydrates. Actually, that's really important. The right carbs can act as stress busters. So, and that's
Woohoo!
according to MIT. Carbohydrates can increase the levels of serotonin, a chemical in the body that helps boost the mood and reduce the stress. So more serotonin means concentration and more productive work days. So having whole grain foods are important for us, and it's good for heart health too. I'm looking at our whole grain foods are like brown rice, sweet potato. We always know sweet potato is such a good thing. Quinoa, whole grain bread. So bananas are another one. Not only are they high in potassium, but rich fruit contains mood boosting chemical dopamine. So if we
Woohoo!
remember about our gut microbiome, the gut microbiome, boy, goodness gracious, is the second brain. And remember, it travels to the vagus nerve to the brain and helps support serotonin and dopamine. So these two things, bananas and whole grain foods, are so far now really key into helping us boost our mood. And then when that happens, we can make better choices for our body. The fatty fishes, sometimes it's the mercury that we want to pay attention to, but we have X Factor. Is it X Factor, the red one?
Mm-hmm.
That Plexus has a great one if we don't want to do the fatty fish, because that
the Mega X.
Mega X. Yes,
the omega, yeah.
It's important. It helps strengthen your heart and boosts your mood also. So that fatty acid helps. Water. Now this is something. Even mild,
water, you guys. It helps with everything.
Even mild dehydration, boy, the more I learn about water, the more that I am on it, can increase cortisol levels. And you don't want those cortisol levels to be increased on a chronic basis. You want them for your fight or flight response, because we need that if we have to have that extra concentration or that extra energy because there's a situation that our body needs. But it also increases sugar. It holds on to our fat, because that's the purpose of the whole thing, to have our bodies in that fight mode. So, but if you do it chronically, increasing your blood pressure, having your blood vessels constrict like that, it isn't good. So even when we're just relaxing and being mildly dehydrated, that's not good to have our cortisol levels increase. So make sure we drink our water. Milk is another thing. It strengthens our skeleton, but it also brightens our mood. So milk is another one. Nuts, they can help stave off unhealthy cravings. So we always know that nuts are good, and they help lower your blood pressure. And then we have the other good rainbow foods, as Terry says, are oranges, avocados, leafy green vegetables. They also help with cortisol levels and all the vitamins and the antioxidants to help our bodies as we go along. And then we want to, I don't know if I'm probably jumping ahead, but the three kind of habits that we want to kind of use in moderation or pull back on from a little bit is caffeine, alcohol, and refined sugar. So those are the things that can sabotage us during these stressful times. So we want to use that in moderation, not as a rule.
So one tip that I use is, so when I'm stressed, sweets is always my go-to, anything. And my body just won't be happy until I have something in. So a common favorite in my household, because it's always available, because you never know when those moments are, is those chocolate chips I talked about, the natural sweetener chocolate chips, the dark chocolate, natural sweetened chocolate chips that are in my refrigerator. Just melt some up, take a banana, take a strawberry, dip it in the chocolate, and delicious, and it makes you happy.
It's funny, my daughter has, Jennifer has those chocolate chips in her refrigerator when I'm babysitting the kids. I had actually thought, now that is a good idea. I always had it in my pantry for chocolate chip cookies, but I do keep it in mind, refrigerator for the same
And she wonders why they're never there. Who ate them?
Yes. And I do the same thing, sis. I even did it yesterday, and it really stops the craving, guys. Banana, and I put a little peanut butter, and I didn't even melt the chocolate because I'm that lazy, and put the chocolate chips just on top of the peanut butter. And it really just a little bit took after dinner, just that craving right before my fast at 8:00, and it really does work. It really does work. It's like a big dessert, and you don't want any of the junk stuff. So it's very helpful.
Yep. Dip a pineapple in chocolate, and you get inflammation reduction and stress release.
That's good too.
So for everybody out there wondering what to do for somebody for Day, edible bouquet.
Yeah.
It has the eat the rain and the chocolate dip to go with it. Anyway, I digress a little bit. So, what are some of those other habits that we can do? What are some of those intentional things we can do? And the mindfulness, being mindful of what your brain needs. And so, one of the things is really simple, and we've talked about it before. It's the breathing. It's that deep breathing to help you out. It increases your oxygen level into the blood, and it helps with reducing or boosting your sense of well-being. And so those deep breathing techniques, remember Anita was on here telling us, and that there's two. One is the deep breathing where you exhale, the where it activates your system, that's good for fatigue or inflammation. And then you inhale that gasp, that body's alarm that something's wrong. And that could be a good something. It could be like those different types of stress or performances. We have a speech to do. We have a dance recital to do. Those things that gives us energy. So that that gasp gives us the energy. It's that body's alarm to just get ready for that fight or flight. And in small doses, it's really good for us.
My
Gives us
sister.
the energy to push those. It might be standing in fear. It might be those things that are, maybe it's a traumatic event, or maybe it's just change, or that uncertainty that we're talking about, or frustration that just we can't get it out of our mind. Reset the brain by just an inhale or an exhale, and whichever one you need, or do them both if you don't know. So it just helps reset the brain.
And I'm kind of laughing a little bit. I can only imagine if they walk by my office and I'm doing that, they might have thought I done gone mad. However, it's very important to do that, because we're always getting these little stressors throughout the day. No matter what we're doing in life and what we're called to do in life, we are going to get distractors and stressors all day long, no matter what we're doing. Standing in line, even when we're shopping and thinking we're having a good time, or actually going to work and having your supervisor want you to put one more project on there, and you're just start stressing. Taking a pause is the most important thing, because it helps you practice also self-control and knowing that you can handle that task. It's just putting things in perspective. And we really tend not to do that, because we're also overwhelmed. So that part, Terry, that was a good suggestion. I'm going to try to do that more and more as I'm sitting there getting more and more projects on my
And if possible, just smile. And I know it's counterintuitive, because usually in those moments we're building up that frustration, anger, or just like maybe it's more of an annoyance. Maybe it's not anger, but it's like one more thing, or that your boss gives you, or maybe it's that my favorite, Mom, we got a science fair project due tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. We? What do you mean we? So, laughing will reset your brain. Smile. Even if it's fake, smiling will help. Your brain doesn't know it's fake. Your brain says, I'm supposed to be happy, and it will set off those endorphins. So the best thing you could do in those moments where you get those unexpected triggers of stress moments, because it's one more thing on your plate, just smile. So with that, there's some other habits that we can do. What action steps can we take?
Okay, so let's talk about more of them, because Terry's mindfulness was actually on the list. Clearing your schedule. So sometimes we overcommit. It's our society and our culture to think that we have to be busy, we have to socialize, we have to go here and there. Now, with our restrictions due to our pandemic, it did slow us down. Part of that is a good thing, but not in the way that it was done. because I don't want anyone losing jobs.
She digresses.
I know, but just slowing down. Sorry. Thank you. She's keeping me on task. So I could go all the way over here talking about that. But you want to clear your schedule. You want to make sure that if you're starting to feel stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're way too busy, the first thing you need to do to try to have tips for stress release is doing our mindfulness breathing, and then just looking at your schedule and seeing what things that you can non-commit to that are adding to you and not making your life joyful. So you want to take a look at that, and it is okay. The other most important thing too is learning about your physical health. Movement is key. No matter how we move, movement is key. My sister asked, because I was a cardiac nurse back in the day, about cardiovascular system and physical health. And it does lower your resting heart rate, which we want. Lowering your resting heart rate means your heart isn't beating as fast. And so it decreases your oxygen demand, and it helps your heart conserve that energy and in a restful state. So you want to have that. And exercise helps get it to that point. It also reduces your blood pressure, and it also gets rid of your atherogenic marks, and that's your plaque in your arteries. So it really is beneficial. It also, of course, helps with your muscles and gets your muscles and your blood system and your blood flow and your oxygen all to your body. So those are all such positive things for exercise and movement. And it doesn't even have to be this big old thing going to the gym or to, doing like, I have to do this big thing. Do it in little bits. Whatever movement you can do is good for your heart. And it decreases stress along the way. You want to reach into your self-care kit. That was important too. And Terry had talked about that.
Make sure you have one of those, guys.
Yes. And my self-care kit is like putting a mask on, not the mask that we've been wearing, but a facial.
I'm so glad you clarified.
It's not nursing humor, but a facial mask, and just, getting your nails done or something that makes you
an Epsom salt bath. That's my personal favorite.
Taking bubble baths, watching, a movie, just all of those kind of things. That reading a book, as Terry was saying last week, reading a book. All of those things where we think we have to be busy, take a pause and do some self-care. You want to get enough sleep, 8 hours. We have talked about that, because that also increases your cortisol levels if you don't do that. And you want to connect with family and friends, even if it's through virtual or phone calls. Stay connected to people. Cut back on unhealthy coping mechanisms. And those were the things that I said, those habits before: increased caffeine, alcohol, and the refined sugars, and anything else that might be more stressful and not as healthy for you. Invest in some new hobbies. Take your time to find out what your really interests are, and those are super important. And then also the last one is make sure that if you are finding that none of these things are working for you as far as relieving stress, that you do get professional support, because that is important too, to help get you back on track, to get you back to joyful living.
Absolutely. That fine line between I'm just stressed or I'm having anxiety are two different things. And so if you can't get your mind off it, it's probably leaning in the really stress to anxiety end. And it's so important to get help. So with that, it's smile, smile, smile.
Yes.
So today, that's your challenge is to smile. Yes. Drop for us throughout the day in terms of what is making you smile. Find your happy, and the stress will help you through it. The endorphins that you set off will just reset your brain, and how great is that? We know everybody's feeling stressed from time to time. We know that there are some things that we can do about it. Being intention is the first step to just having a plan. And so in those moments are the plans. So smile, have some chocolate chips with natural sweetener in the refrigerator or in the cupboard, ready to melt when you can use it as a dip for the fruit when you're eating the rainbow. So with that, have a great day. And we'll see you later. Oh,
And
go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I will go ahead and do a quick outline of what we just said, and remind you in our group to send some pictures of you guys smiling. So
Oh,
we'll
I
see you
love
later.
that. That is great.
Okay.
So cheers to having a healthy, happy day.